Heron stood in the bright hall, feeling out of place. Round him, tall blue-skinned aliens with long robes and golden sashes moved with slow grace. They were the Yellari, a peaceful and ancient race known for their wisdom and long memories. Heron was just a human mechanic, someone who fixed ships and rerouted power lines. He never expected to be in the middle of a royal award ceremony. A soft chime rang across the hall. The Yellari leader, called Elder Malin, stepped forward. His voice echoed through the chamber as he raised a small glass disc. This human, Malin said, saved our flagship during the firestorm above Veari Prime, when our systems failed and the engines were ready to explode. He alone entered the burning core and made the repairs. Without him, we would not be standing here. The crowd of Yellari nodded slowly. Their way of showing respect was quiet, calm. Heron gave a small wave. He had only done what was needed. The ship was about to break apart. He had the tools and knew how to reroute the flow safely. That was it. He didn't think it was a big deal. Then the elder held out something unexpected. A small figure stepped out from behind a long golden curtain. She was no more than 2 feet tall, with smooth silver blue skin and large violet eyes. Her hair was soft and white like cloud threads, and her expression was calm but focused. This is Nira, Malin said. She is one of our finest, a thinker, a builder, a gift, a companion in our tradition. A life saved must be matched with a life offered. Heron blinked. Wait, what? A translator drone buzzed near his ear, repeating the Yellari words in English. This individual will now join your life. You are now joined in gratitude. She will follow you. Heron looked at Nira. She was standing quietly beside him now, hands clasped in front of her. Her eyes looked up at him, studying him. Then, without a word, she reached forward and held onto his pant leg. Her grip was gentle, but she would not let go. I really don't think this is Heron started, but Malin was already turning away. The ceremony was moving on. Heron looked down at Nira. I hate you don't have to hold on like that. It's fine, really? Nira said nothing. She just kept looking at him with her big calm eyes. Then she moved closer and hugged his leg completely. The other Yellari watched in quiet approval. One of the human diplomats standing nearby whispered, Just smile, Heron. This is a high honor in their culture. Heron forced a smile. Inside he was panicking. He didn't know what to do with a tiny alien who wouldn't let go of his leg. Back on the human ship, things got more awkward. The crew watched as Heron walked through the halls with Nira still holding on. She never got in the way. She never caused trouble. But she never let go either. In the mess hall, she sat by his foot. In engineering, she stood quietly beside him while he worked during meetings. She found a corner of his chair or desk and stayed there without a word. Is she okay? Asked Lorne, one of Heron's friends. I don't know, Heron replied. She hasn't said anything. Just holds on. She blinked at me earlier, said Lorne. It felt like a warning. The ship's commander called Heron in after 2 days. This isn't regulation, she said. We don't have a protocol for permanent alien guests. Heron sighed. I tried telling her. She won't leave. They brought in the ship's language expert, a calm older woman named Bren. Bren sat near Nira and spoke softly in the Yellari language. Nira finally responded. Her voice was quiet and clear. She says she is your shadow now, Bren explained. Her people believe the one who receives a life gift cannot refuse it. She's not property. Heron said quickly, I don't want her treated like that. She does not see herself that way. Bren said, she thinks she is honoring you. Staying close means she is ready to help at all times. It is a kind of loyalty. But I just fixed a ship, Heron said. Anyone would have done the same. Not everyone would have climbed inside a burning power core, Bren said. Later that evening, Heron sat in his small room. Nira stood near his chair, quiet as always. He looked at her. She looked back. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, he said. She tilted her head and pointed at the tools on the table. You want to help? She nodded. He handed her a small tool. All right then, let's see what you can do. She walked over and began adjusting the wiring on a panel. Her fingers were fast and careful. She moved like someone who had done this before. Heron blinked. You're a mechanic. Nira looked up and gave a small smile. By the end of the week, she was helping with ship systems and even improved one of the cooling lines in the main core. The crew started accepting her. Some joked that Heron had found the perfect assistant. Others warned never to mess with her. A few had tried to touch Heron as a joke, and Nira had stepped between them with a firm glare. Heron still didn't fully understand the bond, but he had stopped trying to break it. Nira never asked for anything. She never slowed him down. She only wanted to stay close and be useful. He was beginning to see that maybe this wasn't a gift that needed to be returned. Maybe this was the start of something different. Days passed aboard the human ship Starfinder, and Nira still stayed close to Heron. No one could move around engineering without seeing her standing next to him, holding tools, checking wires, or watching him work. She didn't speak to the crew. She didn't laugh or eat with them, but she was always there. Quiet, loyal, focused Heron had never had a partner like her before. At first, he thought she was only following him because of some ancient rule or strange alien custom. But now, he was beginning to notice something else. Nira was learning fast when he adjusted a control panel. She remembered the sequence. When he made a mistake, she gently pointed to the correct setting. She didn't speak much, but her hands and eyes said more than words. One morning, while Heron was cleaning out a blocked vent, the ship suddenly shook. A red light blinked on in the corner of the room. Heron grabbed the wall for balance. Warning. In reactor flow chamber, said the voice from the intercom. Backup coolant line unstable. Heron jumped off the ladder and ran for the control station. We fixed that line last week. Lorne met him at the door. Something's feeding extra power into it. I can't find the source. Nira appeared beside Heron, climbed up onto the control console, and pointed at the lower data line. Heron leaned over and looked. That connection shouldn't be active. Lorne frowned. That's not even listed on the ship's blueprint. Nira tapped it again and made a sharp sound, like a warning. Heron moved fast. He shut down the line and rerouted power manually. The warning light turned off. Silence returned to the room. Lorne looked at Nira. How did she even see that? I don't know, Heron said. She saw it before I did. Later, Heron brought the report to the commander. She listened quietly and then looked at Nira, who stood beside the desk with her hands behind her back. She's not just a companion, the commander said. She's trained, and more than that, she sees things we miss. I think we need to understand what she is, Heron replied. Not just who. The next day, Bren, the language expert, returned to Heron's workroom. She brought a small device called a sound bridge. It was designed to help translate thoughts, sounds, and tones in real time. Let's try this, Bren said. She placed one half of the device on Nira's collar, the other near Heron's ear. Nira looked unsure at first, but when Heron gave a small nod, she sat still. The device lit up. Bren asked softly in the Yilari language. Can you understand me? The translator buzzed near Heron's ear. Nira's voice came through, soft but clear. Yes, I hear you. Heron's eyes widened. It works, Bren smiled. Nira can now speak to you in your language through the bridge. Slowly. It will help her learn human words as well. Heron turned to her. Why did you follow me? Why not return to your people? Nira answered calmly. You pulled me from the fire. You used your hands not for war, but for saving. That is rare. My people said my service was ended. I chose to follow you. You chose. Yes, I was not given. I gave myself. My skill is now yours. Heron sat down. He had thought this was just some tradition, some alien rule. But it wasn't. It was her choice. She had watched him, trusted him, then followed him. Not because someone told her to, but because she wanted to. News of Nira's skills spread through the ship. She helped fix a broken cooling circuit in the life support system. She mapped out a faster energy path through the ship's secondary core. She even helped in navigation. Officer find an error in their course projection. She never asked for anything. She never bragged. She just watched, learned, and helped. Some of the crew began calling her Little Chief. Others called her Shadow Spark. Even the commander seemed to smile when Nira passed by. But not everyone understood. One day in The main engine bay, a new technician named Jarl laughed loudly as he saw Nira checking a panel. "Why's the little one poking our systems?" he said. "She's not even from the ship. She's part of my team," Heron replied calmly. Jarl shrugged. "She's too small for this work." Nira looked at him once. Then she walked over to a damaged circuit that no one had touched yet. She rewired it perfectly in less than 2 minutes. Then she handed Jarl his drop tool without saying a word. Jarl turned red and walked away. Heron smiled. She may be small, but she sees everything. At night, as Heron returned to his quarters, he sat down at his desk. Nira sat beside his chair, legs crossed, watching him carefully. "You don't have to stay so close all the time," he said softly. She looked up. "If you fall, I am there. If you rise, I rise too. That is balance." "You really believe that?" "Yes. I chose balance. I chose you." Heron leaned back. He was still getting used to this bond. But something inside him said it was right. He wasn't just a man with a helper anymore. He was now part of a team that began when a small alien girl grabbed his leg and refused to let go. And now, even if she let go, he wasn't sure he wanted her to. Heron woke up early that morning. The ship's lights slowly turned on as the clock hit 600 hours. As usual, Nira was already awake, sitting quietly near the edge of his desk, legs crossed, her eyes watching the energy panel he had repaired the night before. "You really don't sleep much, do you?" Heron asked while rubbing his eyes. Nira turned to him and gave a small nod. "My rest cycle is short. I wake when you wake." "You were already awake. I wake before you." Heron smiled. There was something peaceful about her presence. She never made noise, never interrupted, never asked for attention. But she was always there, like a silent shield, like a quiet engine. After breakfast, they headed to engineering. It was another busy day. A supply ship had docked 2 hours earlier, and its systems were not syncing with the Starfinder's controls. Heron was asked to assist. Lauren was already inside the docking ring. "The freighter's navigation module is acting strange," he said. "They say it's a software issue, but I think the wiring is off." Heron stepped in and opened the side panel. Dozens of small cables were tangled inside, more than there should have been. "This isn't standard," he said. "Someone added extra lines here." Nira climbed up beside him and tapped 3 wires. Heron traced them to a hidden connector. "She sees things too fast," Lauren whispered. "I checked that box twice. Didn't notice those." "She's got sharp eyes," Heron said. "Sharper than mine, most days." They followed the extra wires to a power loop hidden behind the panel. It was feeding false signals to the control system. Heron disconnected it carefully, and the system restarted. "Problem solved," he said. Nira touched the final wire, looked at Heron, and shook her head. "What is it?" Lauren asked. Nira spoke quietly. "This wire did not age like the others." Heron understood. It was added later. She nodded. That meant someone had changed the system on purpose. "Let command know," Heron said. "We may have a tampered ship." Back on the main deck, Heron sat with Commander Rent and showed her the report. "So this wasn't a mechanical fault?" she asked. "No," Heron replied. "It was sabotage, hidden well, but not well enough. And your companion spotted it first." "Yes." The commander looked at Nira, who stood quietly beside Heron. "She's not just a helper. She's a thinker," Heron said. "More than that." Ren leaned back in her chair. "The Yillari gifted us someone important, and we treated her like a tool." "I didn't mean to," Heron said softly, "but I didn't see her clearly either." "She speaks few words," Ren said, "but they matter when she speaks them." The commander approved a full scan of the freighter. In less than a day, they found some more hidden systems, likely meant to steal data or slow operations. The freighter's crew claimed they had no knowledge of them. The ship was returned to its base for a full review. Heron and Nira became even more respected after that. Later that week, the ship stopped near the Varnus Belt to check an old relay station. The area was mostly empty, full of dust clouds and dead signals. But when they arrived, they picked up a faint call. "It's a message in Yillari code," Brent said from the bridge. "But the pattern is wrong." Nira walked up beside the console and listened. Her eyes narrowed. She turned to Heron. "That is not our code," she said. "You know Yulari code?" Brent asked, surprised. Nira nodded. "I helped design it." "You designed part of their code system many years ago," she answered. "It was part of my role." "What role was that?" Heron asked. Nira paused for a moment before she spoke. "Keeper of balance." The bridge went quiet. "What does that mean?" Brent asked. "I solved problems before they became war." Nira said, "I studied patterns, systems, weaknesses. I helped keep peace through knowledge." Heron stared at her. "You were more than just an engineer." "I was a voice in dark halls," she said. "But when my term ended, they gave me peace. I chose to follow you instead." Everyone on the bridge realized something in that moment. Nira was not a simple companion. She had once stood at the heart of decisions, protected her people, and watched the stars for danger. And now, she had chosen to stay at the side of a human mechanic. That evening, Heron sat in the corner of the observation room, watching stars. Passed by, Nira sat near him, not saying anything. "You didn't tell me before," he said, "that you were important." "I wanted you to see me as I am now," she replied. "Not as I was." "You still help people." "I help you." Heron thought about it. "Do you regret leaving your people?" "No," she said. "I gave them my years. You gave me new purpose." Heron didn't say anything for a while. Then he looked at her. "You could do so much more. You could lead, teach, command." She smiled slightly. "You fix ships. But you also listen. You see more than metal. That is rare." Heron didn't know what to say to that. Nira leaned against the wall. Her voice was soft. "I was once a name in rooms filled with fear. Now I'm just Nira, and I like being just Nira." For the first time, Heron truly saw her. Not just the small figure who followed him. Not just the alien with sharp eyes and quick hands. But someone who had chosen peace over power. Someone who had seen too much and wanted something simple. He nodded. "All right, just Nira it is." She closed her eyes, calm once again. And Heron sat quietly beside her, knowing that she was not just decoration on his leg. She was something far more than that. The ship Starfinder floated near the edge of neutral space. The Varnus belt was behind them. Ahead was the red zone, a wide region filled with broken ships, lost signals, and old war scars. This area was silent for years, but now, strange things were happening. Ships were going missing, signals were being jammed, and last night, a Yulari transport sent a weak distress call. "We received one clear word," said Commander Rin. "Attack." Heron stood on the side of the bridge, tool strapped to his belt. Nira stood beside him. Her hands folded. Her expression was calm, but her eyes watched everything. "The Yulari ship is a medical transport," Rin continued. Unarmed, it was heading to the Gavos outpost. "Can we help?" Heron asked. "We have clearance to enter the zone." "But no backup," said Rin. "If we go alone." Nira stepped forward. "If we wait, they are lost." Everyone looked at her. Her voice was quiet but firm. Ryan gave a slow nod. "We'll go. An hour later." Heron and Nira were aboard a small shuttle. Heron flew it while Nira sat beside him, looking out through the glass. Lorne was with them, checking the scanners. The medical ship's last signal came from a moon that looked empty on maps. As they neared the moon, the scanner picked up wreckage. Pieces of Yulari hull floated in space. "No life signs," Lorne said. "But wait, there's a faint signal inside the moon's shadow." Heron flew the shuttle closer. A small escape pod was wedged in a crater. "Can we land?" he asked. "Barely." Lorne said, "But we have one try." The shuttle touched down with a soft shake. Dust rose around them. Heron opened the back hatch. The air outside was thin, but safe. They walked slowly toward the pod. Nira walked ahead of them, her steps light, careful. As they reached the pod, Heron tapped the panel. The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a Yulari medic, injured but alive. He looked up, eyes wide. "They came back," he said weakly. "The Drask. They want the codes." Nira knelt beside him. "How many?" "3 ships. Small ones. Fast. They jammed our signal. We scattered." They are still near. Before Heron could reply, the shuttle's alert went off. Red lights flashed across his wrist pad. "We've been seen," Lawrence said. "One ship incoming." Heron helped the medic up. "We need to leave now." They ran back toward the shuttle. Nira stopped once and looked toward the sky. She said one word, "Trap." The moment they entered the shuttle, two small enemy craft appeared from behind the crater wall. Their engines were loud, sharp, fast. Heron took the pilot's seat. "Hold on." He pulled the shuttle up hard. Dust exploded below them. The enemy ships followed fast. "They're faster than us," Lawrence said. Nira moved to the front. "Send code 357 to the Starfinder. Tell them we are under attack." Heron looked at her. "That code means first contact with hostile force." She nodded. "They will understand." Lawrence sent the signal. "Done." The enemy ships fired. The shuttle shook. Heron turned hard to the left, moving through the moon's sharp rocks. "We can't keep this up," Heron said. "Weapons, basic shields, anti-rear flashes," Lorne replied. "Then we'll use them smartly." Nira pointed at a narrow canyon ahead. "There, go inside. Cut power for 3 seconds." "Are you sure?" "Yes." Heron trusted her. He flew into the canyon, then killed the shuttle's lights and lowered the power for 3 seconds. The ship went dark. The enemy ships flew over them and missed. "Now," Nira said. Heron turned the shuttle sharply and blasted out of the canyon. At full speed, he used the rear flashes as fake debris. One enemy ship turned to chase the lights. The others circled wide. "They're confused," Lorne said. "That's our chance," Heron replied. The Starfinder finally answered the signal. "We're tracking you," came the voice. "Bringing in support. Hold position." Nira leaned close. "No waiting. We lead them to the ship." "Bait." "Yes." Heron nodded. "Let's do it." He flew the shuttle toward Starfinder's path. The two enemy ships spotted them again and gave chase. The timing was close, too close. One of the enemy ships fired again. The shuttle's right wing sparked. "Shields low," Lawrence said. "We won't survive another hit, then." Out of nowhere, the Starfinder appeared. Its cannons lit the sky. The enemy ships tried to turn, but it was too late. One was destroyed. The other vanished into deep space. The shuttle docked safely, later, in the medical bay. The Yillari medic was resting. Heron sat on the bench beside the window. Nira stood nearby, quiet as always. "You saved him," Heron said. "You saved him too," Nira replied. "No," Heron said. "This time, I followed your lead." Commanderin entered. "We got a message from the Yillari Council." They confirmed. "Something important." "What is it?" Heron asked. Nira wasn't just a thinker or a technician. She was once a code master for Yillari defense. She designed some of their most secure systems. "The Drask know that. That's why they're returning. They want her knowledge," Heron said slowly. Ian nodded. "She's more valuable than we understood." Nira looked at both of them. "I gave them my service. That part of me is finished. I now protect something smaller, but just as important." Heron looked at her. "What's that?" She placed a hand on his arm. "You?" Heron didn't speak, for once. He had nothing clever to say. He just nodded, knowing she meant every word. The command room of Starfinder was quiet. Everyone waited for Nira's answer. Commanderin had just asked her something simple, yet serious. "Can you speak the Drask language?" Nira stood still, her hands at her sides. Her silver blue skin reflected the dim lights. Her eyes were steady. "Yes," she said. "I can." Ren leaned forward. "You understand their codes too." "I do," Nira replied. "Not all, but I know enough. I studied their patterns during the border war. I built shields to block their messages. I listened when no one else could." The crew looked at each other. They had known Nira was special, but now they were learning just how important she truly was. Heron stood beside her, watching her speak with quiet confidence. He had seen her repair engines, rewire damaged panels, and spot hidden traps. But hearing her voice in a room full of high officers felt different. She was no longer just the small figure holding onto his leg. She was becoming something more. Ian placed a new report on the screen. "We received a short signal this morning. It came from one of our outposts. Then it stopped. The map showed a red circle near a supply line. That's a quiet region. Lorne said, no battles there since the last treaty. Not anymore, Ren replied. Nira, take a look. Nira walked forward. She studied the signal data. Her hands moved fast over the controls. Then she stopped. This signal is wrong. She said, it is made to look like a human distress call. But the wave code is twisted. This is not a real signal. It is a call to the Drask. Everyone stared at the screen. You're sure? Ren asked. Nira nodded. Yes, it is a message for them to gather. To strike. Heron stepped forward. Who sent it? Nira took a deep breath. Someone with access to human tech, or someone who stole it. Ren's voice was sharp now. Then we may have a traitor or a spy. The room went quiet again. Later that day, Heron and Nira sat in the lower deck hallway, away from the busy command rooms. The lights here were softer. Quiet filled the space. You were calm in there, Heron said. I did what I was trained to do, Nira replied. I listened. I read. I spoke. You didn't just speak, he said. You gave orders. She looked at him. I didn't mean to. No. Heron smiled. You did what was right. You were leading. Nira lowered her voice. I was afraid I would forget who I am. You haven't, Heron said. You've just remembered more. Nira looked up. Do you think they trust me now? I think they're starting to, Heron said. But I've trusted you from the start. She gave a small nod, then looked away, her thoughts deep. That evening, a strange call was picked up by the ship's outer sensors. It was a slow, broken voice. The words came through the speakers like whispers. This is Research Post 9. Enemy within need help. Then silence. The ship was too far to get there in time. But the message had something else. Nira listened carefully. Her eyes narrowed. This is a trap. She said, the voice is real. The fear is real. But the message was pushed out by force. You mean someone made them send it? Heron asked. Yes. She said, and added something hidden. She played the message again, then ran it through a filter. A second layer of sound appeared. It was a Drask message, short, harsh. They are testing us, Nira said. They want to see how we respond. Commander Ren listened. Then we need to answer carefully. Nira nodded. I'll speak to them. Everyone turned. You what? Heron asked. They are listening, Nira said. They think no one can speak back. But I can. You want to send a message to the Drask, Ren asked. Yes, Nira replied. Not with threats, with truth. There was silence. Then the commander gave a nod. Go ahead. Nira stood in front of the ship's main transmitter. The room was dark except for the glow of the console. Heron stood beside her. What will you say? He asked. I will speak as one who knows them. Not as an enemy, but not as a friend either. She took a breath and began to speak in the Drask language. Her voice was steady, her words clear. You hide behind tricks. You attack the weak. But we hear you, and we are not afraid. We do not chase war, but we are ready if it comes. You once feared balance. Now it stands before you again. Come if you must, but know this, we will not run, and we will not fall. She ended the message. Silence followed. Heron looked at her. What now? We wait, she said. The next morning, something strange happened. The Drask didn't respond with weapons or warnings. Instead, they sent back one message, a voice. Short and rough. Who speaks for the humans now? Nira listened, then replied, I do. There was no reply after that. Later that day, as Heron walked through the ship with Nira beside him, crew members greeted them with respect. Some nodded. Others offered quiet thanks. Word had spread. Nira had spoken to the enemy, and the enemy had gone silent. In the mess hall, someone placed a seat beside Heron's table. It was small, just the right size for Nira. She looked at it, then at Heron. Looks like they made space for you now, he said. She sat down and gave a small smile. You still holding on to my leg? Heron joked. I don't have to, she said. Now they all see me, and if they don't, I still do. They sat together, side by side, not just as mechanic and helper, not just as human and alien. Now, they were something else, a team and maybe something more. The ship's Starfinder floated in silent orbit above a drifting moon. Below, the surface was rough and cracked, hidden under dark shadows and thick dust. This moon had no name. It was once marked as dead rock with no value. But now, something was wrong. Nira stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the live scan. Heron stood beside her, arms crossed, watching her face. "There is power beneath the ground," she said. "Not natural, not local." Commander stepped closer. "What kind of power?" Nira pointed at the readings. "Artificial. A relay station. Hidden." Lorne checked the data. "But there's no signal coming out." "That's the trick," Nira said. "The station is silent now, but it wakes when needed, and it doesn't broadcast outward. It listens. It collects." Ren's face grew serious. "Then this is more than a relay. It's a spy post." "Yes," Nira said, "and I believe it is Drask." Everyone on the bridge went quiet. "If this is true," Ren said, "we need to destroy it." Nira looked at Heron. "We can't send a full team. They'll know. We must go quietly. You and me." "Just us?" Heron asked. Nira nodded. "You fix things. I read systems." "That's enough." Commander Ren hesitated, then gave the order. "You leave in 1 hour. Take a stealth pod. No lights, no weapons. Just scan, confirm, and return. If you find danger, do not engage." The pod dropped through the dust clouds like a falling seed. Inside, Heron held the controls while Nira watched the moon's surface rise below them. The closer they came, the more she could feel the wrongness in the silence. "There," she said. "Land near that ridge." The pod touched down with a soft thud. They stepped out. The air was thin but breathable. The ground crunched beneath their boots. Heron followed Nira as she moved carefully through the rocks. She didn't speak. Her eyes followed the shapes in the dust. Her hand brushed old stone. Then she stopped. She knelt down and tapped the ground. "This is fake," she said. Heron bent down beside her. "What do you mean?" "This ground was placed here, like a cover. Under it is metal." They cleared away the dust, revealing a square plate with no markings. Nira placed her hand on the edge. The plate glowed faintly, then opened like a door. Tunnel led downward into the dark. Nira looked at Heron. "Ready? Let's go," he said. They climbed down into the silent tunnel, guided by their helmet lights. The air inside was clean. No signs of age. The walls were smooth metal, not Yelari, not human. "Drask for sure," Heron whispered. "How old is this place?" "Not old," Nira answered. "Months. Maybe less." They reached a wide chamber with glowing consoles. Screens showing data in Drask language. Strange machines pulsed with quiet energy. Nira stepped forward and placed her fingers on one screen. It responded to her touch. "They are not just watching," she said. "They are copying, mapping ship routes, energy flows, weak points, all of it." "Who are they planning to attack?" Heron asked. Nira moved to another console and touched it. A display lit up, showing a list of targets. She translated as. She read, "Medical stations, fuel bases, cargo ships, not fighters, only the weak ones." Heron's jaw tightened. "So they want to strike the soft spots, break the supplies, starve the systems." "Yes," she said. "And then move in when the defense is thin." "Can we stop it?" Nira nodded slowly. "Yes, we can overload their core, shut down the relay. But we must do it now." They worked fast. Nira moved like she had done this 100 times. Her hands glided over the systems. Rerouting power. Heron followed her instructions, adjusting wires, adding delay codes. As they reached the final step, the floor shook. "They know we're here," Heron said. Nira looked up. "We have 1 minute before this place locks down. Then let's move," Heron said. They ran back through the tunnel. As they reached the entrance, the ground above cracked open. A small Drask scout craft was landing. Its ramp opened, and a figure stepped out, tall, gray skin, heavy armor. Nira and Heron dropped behind a rock. "We can't run now," Heron said. "They'll see us. We don't run." Nira whispered. "We finish." She stood up and stepped into the open. The Drask raised their weapons, but before they could fire, she spoke in their language. Her voice was strong, sharp. "I am Nira of Yellari, keeper of balance. You know me." The Drask froze. "You have hidden here," she said. "You have stolen, spied, plotted, but your silence is now broken. This station is ending." One of the Drask shouted something back, but Nira's reply cut through the air. "You had peace. You chose this. So we answer." Behind them, the hidden relay began to shake. Lights blinked. Systems failed. "You'll be trapped here," one Drask growled. "No." Nira said, "You will." She turned and ran. Heron followed. Behind them, the ground trembled. The door slammed shut. The whole hill burst in white light as the core exploded. But to reach the pod just in time, it lifted off as dust filled the air. Back on the Starfinder, the crew watched as the explosion lit up their sensors. "They did it," Lauren said. Commander Wren smiled. "Bring them home." Hours later, Heron sat on the edge of the medical bay bed. He had a scrape on his arm, but he was smiling. Nira sat beside him, her eyes calm. "You didn't just destroy a station," Heron said. "You stopped a war before it started." "I kept balance," she replied. Dr. Ein walked in. "You both took a big risk, but you gave us time to prepare, time to protect what matters." Heron looked at Nira. "What now?" "We wait," she said. "They'll speak again, but this time we'll be ready." "And until then?" he asked. She gave a soft smile. "I stay close." Heron laughed. "Of course you do." He looked down at her small form, her steady heart, and strong mind. She was not just holding on to his leg now. She was holding on to something far bigger. And Heron was holding on too. The Starfinder returned to base 3 days after the mission. The crew was greeted with cheers and handshakes. A full report of the destroyed Drask relay had already reached human command. But it was not just the victory that amazed everyone. It was the way it happened, to people. One tiny alien woman, one human mechanic, together. They had stopped the silent invasion before it began. Heron stepped off the ship first. His uniform was dusty. His arm was still wrapped in a bandage. Behind him, walking calmly and proudly, was Nira. She looked ahead, her small steps light and steady. She did not hold Heron's leg this time. She didn't need to. But she stayed close. At the landing bay, Commander Wren stood waiting with a group of officers from Earth Command. One of them, Admiral Kell, stepped forward and looked at Heron. "We've read your report." The Admiral said, "We are impressed. You were supposed to observe. Instead, you ended a threat that could have hurt thousands." Heron nodded. "It was Nira." She saw what others missed. The Admiral turned to Nira and gave a short bow. "On behalf of Earth Command, I thank you." Nira nodded slowly. "I protect balance. It is what I do." The Admiral looked at Heron again. "You have 2 choices. You can return home and take a medal, or you can stay and join a new division, one that needs people like you." "What kind of division?" Heron asked. "A joint force." The Admiral replied, "Human and Yellari working together, quiet missions. Fast thinking, no large fleets, just people who know how to stop wars before they begin." Heron looked down at Nira. She looked up at him and gave a small nod. "I'll stay," Heron said. "We both will." 1 week later, Heron and Nira stood on the deck of a new ship, smaller than the Starfinder but faster. The Clear Wind was built for stealth and speed. Inside, the crew was mixed, half human, half Yellari. Nira had her own chair at the control center. It was custom built for her size. No one questioned it. The crew respected her. At first, they were unsure. She was small, quiet. But when Nira spoke, people listened. Her words were sharp and wise. She read patterns others missed. She saw danger before it arrived, and Heron stayed by her side, always ready with tools and calm ideas. On one mission, they stopped a group of smugglers carrying stolen weapons. On another, they rescued a lost ship caught in a gravity trap. Each time, Nira led with quiet focus, and Heron handled the tools that made the impossible possible. The crew began calling them the Balanced Pair. It was a simple name, but it fit one evening. After a long shift, Heron sat in the quiet mess hall. He was cleaning a scanner when Nira walked in and sat beside him. "You don't sleep much," Heron said. "Neither do you," she replied. He smiled. "You still miss your home?" Nira looked out the window at the stars. "I left long ago. Now I stay where I'm needed." "And where's that?" She turned to him. "With you." Heron paused. "You've come a long way from holding onto my leg." Nira gave a small smile. "I still hold on. Just differently." They sat in silence for a while. Then Nira spoke again. "My people once believed that the stars belonged only to the strong. But I've seen something different. I've seen humans protect without pride, fix without demand, care without order." Heron looked at her. "We just do our best," she nodded. "That is strength." Later that week, a message arrived from the Yillari Council. It was formal, with golden seal marks. The message asked Nira to return. They wanted her to advise on a new treaty with the Drask. Her old title had weight again. Keeper of Balance was now respected across more than one world. Nira sat in her small room for a long time, thinking. That night, she told Heron about the message. "They want you back?" He asked. "They want me to guide peace talks." He nodded. "That sounds like something you would be great at." She looked up at him. "But I do not wish to go without you." Heron blinked. "Me? You see what others do not. You listen when others talk over each other. And you remind me who I am." Heron laughed softly. "You're the one with the titles. I'm just a mechanic." She shook her head. "You're more than that." In the end, they both went. Nira took her seat in the Yillari Council Hall once more. This time, Heron stood at her side. He didn't speak in meetings. He didn't need to. But when talks grew tense, when old anger returned, Nira would glance at him, and he would give her a calm nod. That was enough. The peace treaty was signed after weeks of effort. It was not perfect, but it was a start, and it was stronger because both Nira and Heron had stood together. Months passed, then a year. Nira and Heron became known across systems, not as heroes, not as warriors, but as the strange pair who fixed things quietly, who stopped wars before they began, who listened. One day, a young Yillari girl came up to them and asked Nira, "Why do you always stay close to the human?" Nira smiled and answered, "Because long ago, I was given as a gift, but what I found was a purpose." The girl looked confused. "And what about him?" Nira turned and looked at Heron, who was sitting nearby, fixing a small drone. She answered softly, "He is the reason I never let go."